Hello. Hey. Hello and welcome to the Reykjavík Grapevine Newscast. My name is Valur Grettisson. I'm an editor-in-chief at the Reykjavík Grapevine. This is Polly, my chief of morale officer. Always makes you laugh. Let's just hope she won't end in the ocean. Well, close enough. Two things before we begin. Because you didn't see me last week. The reason is always the same. We're always doing magazines. You can see we were writing about the Ukrainians, like Ukrainian refugees in Iceland, and also Iceland is actually in Ukraine. And we have a photographer that took this in Ukraine, in an old rave club in Kyiv. And this is like now a Molotov factory. The war is, of course, absolutely horrible. You've seen the horrible news that's been coming from Bucha and so on. I'm not going to go into that, but it's a really sad moment. Also, we have this one. If you go into the High Five Club, you can actually order these. You will get these issues as well as a lot of other perks, of course, if you're in the club. And additionally, we did a podcast. I talked to this amazing young woman called Kiana Sue Powers. She's fighting for her existence in Iceland. She's about to be evicted from the country, and she's from the US. It's a very interesting story, and I encourage you to check it out. It's called the Icelandic Roundup, not the Roundabout, like I often say in a joke. It's not really funny anymore. Hey! Before we go into the news, I just want to say we got a lot of comments about Polly the last time, about her on the lava. And just to make sure nobody was in pain, we were not that far off in the lava. Actually, where Art was taking the footage was no lava. We are very rough, like we're used to rough terrains, especially border collies, and we have often been hiking in similar situation. And it's not, nobody was stressed or anything like that. But thank you for the comment, of course. And on to the news. More. Yes. Sigurður Ingi Jóhannsson, he is our Minister of Transport and Local Government. He's part of the Progressive Party. In Icelandic we say Framsóknarflokkur. It's a little bit windy today. It's like -2 degrees. It's very nice weather, but it's not the best weather for shooting videos. But so it goes. So, Sigurður, so get out of the wind. So Sigurður Ingi Jóhannsson, he is a minister, the chairman of the Progressive Party. He is in the coalition with two other parties, and he is one of the three most powerful politicians in Iceland. Simple as that. So he got into this very odd scandal last weekend, where there was a party actually, and it was held in 3 places. These parties are nothing less than just like a weird lobbyist parties. Oh. He had a xenophobic remarks about this woman. That is, she is a manager of the Association of Icelandic Farmers. Her name is Vigdís Häsler, and the thing is, like, just to explain a little bit better, there are a lot of connections between the progressive parties as well as the farmers. The reason is basically because the Progressive Party is an old party that have always emphasized a lot on the farmers, the countryside, and so on. They have often been said a very odd relationship with the Association of Icelandic Farmers, and there are very close knitted ties between them. Now, every year, I think it's every year, there is this party. And to be honest, I think this is just farmers getting really drunk and they are meeting up with these ministers for like political reasons / lobbyism. It's not a good thing. I'm not a fan of this myself, but sometimes it's like that. And what happens here is that this manager of this association of farmers is actually from like, she was adopted, I think she's Asian, and she is basically Icelandic. Her name is Vigdís, the same as the first president of Iceland, first female president of Iceland. And this woman is a very well-liked woman in the discussion. It is sad that there was about to take a photo of this woman with some other people, but Sigurður Ingi, the minister, refused to be on the picture, and he said that it was a joke photo. I haven't seen it, but they were like holding her somehow, and he said, well, in a very polite like translation, that he didn't want to hold up the black one. That's what he said. Now, this was obviously a racist remarks, or like what you would call a xenophobia. And the thing is that she was hurt by this, and this became news. But the thing is, when two newspapers were calling the minister, and they called his assistant, and his assistant, she actually lied about this. First of all, she said that she was there when this happened, which she wasn't, and she said that he didn't say, I don't want to hold up the black one. He said, she claimed that he actually said, I don't want to hold up the woman from the Independence Party. Now, not even in defense, but what she was like trying to do here is that these words are not that, well, they are very unsimilar, but might sound similar if you're really drunk. So it's svartur, and then it's sjálfstæðisflokkur, sjálfstæðismaður. I don't know how she got this out, or why she said that, but the thing is that the woman, this Vigdís, she was very angry about this, and she said it's not optional to gaslight the discussion like this, and therefore she took it to Facebook, and she said, I know exactly what he said, and it was hurtful, and it's very sad to see what you would call like a casual racism or casual xenophobia in Iceland, and you can find that everywhere. Now, this woman's post was very powerful. All the media picked this up because everybody have heard the story about this, and this ended up being quite the scandal. Now, it's really hard for a politician to spin something after you have been caught lying, right? So what happened now is that Sigurður Ingi, he just took it to Facebook also, and he apologized, I think, to her and everyone. It should be perhaps enough, but a lot of people, they say the man should of course resign his post. This is also quite alarming because the government is now working on new laws about immigration, and those laws are perhaps not like everybody wants to see them. Let's just put it like that. So this case isn't done because there are questions looming here. Of course, not only like how oddly casual this remark were, but also is this violation against the ethic rules of the members of the parliament and so on. And what's perhaps the worst here is that the Prime Minister, Katrín Jakobsdóttir, she's in the left green, and they have been very sympathetic when it comes to asylum seekers and so on. She says this is unacceptable, but the man said sorry, and therefore this is done. So we have to see what the fall down will be. This happened yesterday. That is like the comment, it happened yesterday, but the party was actually last weekend. The same party actually. The minister of, there was more scandals. This was the oddest party of them all. Minister of Culture and Business Affairs, Lilja Alfreðsdóttir, is said to have kicked the president of the association out of the same party after he tried to hug her. She refused and told him off, for they haven't, they've been like on different sides of politics. He's in the Independence Party, she's in the Progressive Party, and the air is tense, obviously. She kicked him out and tried to hug her, and keep in mind, everybody's dead drunk here, except perhaps Lilia. But so it goes, and this basically means that there is a rift between the farmers in the countryside as well as the Progressive Party, and that could be bad news for the Progressive Party, which is, of course, relies heavily on these votes, because the city of Reykjavík and the city area, they don't relate very well to this party for obvious reason. It's not fighting for the people in Reykjavík or their interest at all. They are fighting often just for the countryside, and not even trying to say anything else about that. The weekend was interesting. I mean, I guess people are crawling out of their hides after 2 years in COVID and getting perhaps a little bit more drunk than they should. Perhaps this is like a Will Smith and Chris Rock situation, like people are just high-strung somehow. But I don't know what it is. But it's definitely for sure, and like xenophobic, like comment like that. It's very alarming. Also because the Progressive Party does not have a good story when it comes to racism, actually. They got two women elected into the city council in 2014, and the main reason was because they were talking against building a mosque in Reykjavík. And this was the similar time when we had this the war in Syria. There were a lot of refugees coming to Iceland and asylum seekers, and it was a very sad time in Icelandic politics, to be honest. So on to other news. Death because of COVID is now officially over 100, which is quite a lot, but statistically not really. We need to keep this in mind, that when it comes to these numbers, the numbers, you have to keep in mind that in the beginning of the pandemic we had hard restrictions, and more people were dying, fewer people were getting through the COVID, but more people were dying. Check it out, I'm gonna come back to this. We have had no restriction now since late February, and we've been doing very good, to be honest. So good, actually, that now the numbers on the hospital are all going down, as well as deaths. Thankfully, I mean, this has been very sad time, but COVID is literally fizzing out very slowly, but we see very clear evidence that it's happening. So nothing's gonna change. This is exactly how our scientists were predicting how this would go in the beginning, and it will be interesting, of course, to see how the summer will be. We're just hoping for better weather. The weather is absolutely horrible, by the way. It looks nice, but it's like -5, 2 to 5 degrees. It's much colder than you think. It's like this piercing northern winds. They often the weather seems brilliant. We call it gluggaveður, or like a window weather. It's really nice if you sit inside the warm office of yours, but the moment you come out, you're like, God damn, it's cold. So it goes. It can actually be very fool you a lot. Also, well over 600 refugees from Ukraine have come to Iceland now since the war broke out. This has had a huge effect on our infrastructure, huge pressure, but thankfully they're doing pretty well. I'm impressed, to be honest. There have been no big issues about this. The Icelandic government, the Red Cross, they've been doing excellent job, and therefore there are no, all the news in Iceland when it comes to the refugees are very positive and no issues whatsoever. So we've seen we've been doing this in a good way, and I think when it comes to other countries, it is actually similar. It's this is I mean, there are well over 3 million people now that have fled the country, and it's pretty interesting to see how well this is going. I mean, we haven't seen this since the Second World War in Europe, so it's incredible actually. Finally, a mother abducted her three sons from their father in Norway. They have the children together, and both of them are Icelandic. But the woman, she actually hired an airplane, flew from here all the way to Norway and brought them back here. This is interesting because we don't often see these cases in Iceland. This is like a bad custody case, basically, but it's now like an international dispute between law enforcement and so on. We have actually pretty clear laws when it comes to all the Scandinavian countries. You can't really go against the law and abduct your children. What happened here is that the woman, she says that the father of these children, he have been neglecting them. And there are some evidence that shows this, according to the newspaper Stundin, the magazine, where basically it's, she stepped out in an interview and she explained this whole affair. As well, there are information about that the children have very bad teeth. They had to go to like emergency surgery because of this, and this has been pretty bad, to be honest. Also, she has been saying, well, and this is actually right, like the Norwegian court system has been slanted or is verdict when it comes to custody cases, and the European Court of Human Rights have been saying that this is inhumane and unfair. Well, in fact, in recent years, Norway has been found guilty of violating the human rights of families in more than a dozen child welfare cases. This is actually quite interesting because the Norwegian system is very harsh when it comes to these cases. For example, the Icelandic woman, she got 16 hours per year to be spent with her sons, which is of course not much. This is of course a little bit more complicated. It's always like that, and it's hard to go into the details. It's hard to see what's right and what's wrong here. We haven't heard what the father has been saying, but he is, like I said, Icelander living in Norway. But this woman lives in Iceland and has done so for a while. So I mean, we'll have to see just how this goes. But the police in Norway have talked to the police in Iceland, and they want the kids back. But of course, it's not that simple. This needs to go through court and so on, and we need to see how it goes. But this is how the case is standing right now at the moment. So this is it for the newscast. I hope you enjoyed this. It was quite cold, but so it goes. We'll be back here on Thursday. If it's not Thursday today, no, it's Tuesday. And remember, of course, our High Five Club. You can get these issues and check our podcast, of course, which is incredibly interesting. And there is no wind there, by the way. So, Polly, hi. A second.